Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by the amazing people at Steven Singer Jewelers. No one plays for the Eagles anymore. Everyone is signed everywhere else. You have Jason Kelce, so that's great. That's a nice little way to start the day. Andre Dillard is gone. Marcus Epps is gone. TJ Edwards is gone. Everyone's gone. No one's here anymore. Everybody's gone. Javon Hargrave is now a member of the San Francisco 49ers, so he has to endure that whiny fan base. So, yeah, we have a lot to get into today, a lot to unpack, while a lot of Eagles pack up to play in other cities. So that's where we go today. Let's start it off on a positive note, though, okay? Jason Kelce, if you haven't seen this yet, everyone's doing shots in Philadelphia. Shots. Okay, Jason Kelce, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham did a shot. I didn't even realize it until yesterday. I was looking up Nick Sirianni doing shots with the fans. You saw that video a week ago? I was looking for that video, and I came across Nick Sirianni and Brandon Graham. And where did they do shots? At the Maxwell Club football gala that I was there emceeing. I didn't know we were doing shots. I would have done shots. Everyone's doing shots. Jason Kelce apparently already informed Howie Roseman that he was coming back. Howie Roseman very excited. Here they are, courtesy of New Heights Podcast, which Jason does with his brother Travis. Everyone's excited. Howie's getting the cap off. For the people on the podcast, this is play-by-play of doing shots. It is a heavy pour. I will say Howie gives him a rather heavy, hefty pour. Howie says it's by body type. I don't know why I don't have audio on this, but whatever. And tell me who does the shot better. I think most people will argue Jason Kelce, but I think Howie, I don't know. Look at that. That wasn't a shot. That wasn't a shot. That was, he just drank it. I don't know. It seemed odd to me. But here is Jason Kelce actually making the announcement on social media. And he just puts it out there saying, I have put much thought into whether it makes sense to play another season. After talking it over with my wife and many other friends and family, I have decided to return for another year. Thank you to all my supporters and detractors for fueling me. I ain't bleeping done yet. Now go ahead and look at that first comment as it came up on my Twitter feed. It was Bo Allen, former Eagles defensive tackle of the Super Bowl winning team. Bo Allen says, dude, just bleep and retire already so we can hang more. I do love me some Bo Allen. Absolutely. Here's the thing. The line that sticks out to me here is whether or not it makes sense to play another season. Here's why you could have made an argument that Jason Kelce wouldn't have returned for another season. He's got the podcast going. He's got the gig, and you could do fine in the podcast world. You could just do hunky-dory, and once you have that other job lined up, I was talking to another Eagle recently. I won't say who, but they are nearing retirement, and it's like the planning for the post-playing career is tough because now it's like you got to start your own business again, and for a lot of people, that's not easy. It's not just like you can sit in on a radio gig, you can sit on a TV gig, you can maybe, I don't know, anyone that really is a writer away from playing the game. But there's two forms of media that most guys go into. And now it's like, okay, not only can you do it, but you could do it on your own terms and you could do it with your own business. And yes, you could have a manager and all that stuff. But it's a difficult decision to make to just, okay, everything I've worked for in my life, it's now over. Now what's next? Just that decision alone. And now it's how do I build it? Because that's what guys like Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce are doing already while they're still playing. And then you have other guys like Chris Long that when he hung it up, he decided, all right, let's go full in on this podcast world, on this digital world. And that's what they have done. And they've done a pretty damn good job with it. But when you see whether or not it's worth it to play another year, he's already a Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's played in 2 Super Bowls. He's beloved in the city. He can do no wrong. He's got a beautiful family. You know, what's next? I'll tell you what's next. More. That's what's next for Jason Kelce. More. And the opportunity with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts to accomplish more. The opportunity with a head coach like Nick Sirianni to accomplish more. And the idea also that he could be playing next to his successor in Juergens, Cam Juergens. The opportunity could be right there with Isaac Seumalo possibly departing. So it's there. It's all right there. And we'll see what happens with this Eagles offensive line. But as of right now, when you ask the question, is it worth it to play another year? Well, if you think you can win again, it's absolutely worth it. If you don't think you can win again, well, then it's probably not. But Jason Kelce still thinks he has plenty left to give to the game for at least one more year. I do worry about the succession of not retiring announcements, because last year he got the keg sent to him from Nick Sirianni, took the sip from his solo cup, his lovely red solo cup, wiped the foam off his stash and said, yeah, we're coming back, baby. Let's party. And he was back. And not only did they come back, they have an incredible run going all the way to the Super Bowl. They do an incredible job with Jalen Hurts literally riding the fanny of Jason Kelce to first down after first down on 3rd and short, 4th and short, whatever you want to call it. And they go all the way to the Super Bowl in doing so. So whether or not it's worth it, it is if you want more. And Jason Kelce wants more. Some other Eagles around the – oh, this is fantastic. Our friends at PHL Sports Nation put this out yesterday. Once again for the people on the podcast. It's a tweet from PHL Sports Nation, their Phillies Nation account. And it just says he's back, and it's the great picture of Jason Kelce hugging the Philly fanatic. That is just gorgeous to see. Javon Hargrave heads out there. Good luck to him, and God bless him. Once we saw the Deron Payne deal of $90 million over four years, you knew it wasn't going to be far off when it came to what Javon Hargrave was going to sign wherever he was going to end up. And unfortunately, it's not here in Philadelphia. He ends up going out to San Francisco. $40 million guaranteed over a 4-year deal that could be worth up to a total of $84 million. So not far off. I mentioned earlier, Marcus Epps, gone. See you later, Marcus Epps. Thanks for your time here. TJ Edwards, gone as well. He goes to the Bears. Both Hargrave and Edwards. Edwards is interesting, too, because if you remember, a friend of the show as well, Alex Singleton, who's a linebacker for the Broncos now, he just signed a 3-year, $18 million deal. These guys are making some money at positions that here in Philadelphia, they just don't pay. And the Eagles are looking at the position right now with TJ Edwards at the middle linebacker spot and thinking, yeah, that's not happening. Not going to be paying that kind of money right now here in Philadelphia. So who's the next man up? The next man up is Nakobe Dean. Kazir White probably not coming back either. So the Eagles still have a lot of work to do when it comes to the linebacker spot. But at least they have a guy in mind who they drafted in the 3rd round last year, who many people thought was first-round talent, at worst a second-round talent, Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean didn't see a lot of snaps on the defensive side of the football last year. As a matter of fact, Nakobe Dean became a leader on special teams. Nakobe Dean joined this show a couple of months ago, and he talked about what it was like to finally get the opportunity to play in an NFL game and what it means to him when he does get the opportunity to be a starter on this team. He gave all respect to TJ Edwards. He gave all respect to Kazir White. But here he is talking about the opportunity to play more. This is from back in January when Nakobe Dean was on the show. And here's what he said about the possibility of playing more.
Well, of course you want to play. Of course you want to play. Of course I feel like I can play at elite level in this league. But, just buying in and doing what I got supposed to do on the team, doing my job, buying into my job and knowing what my job is, So just doing that throughout the season and continue to not only do that, but also become more into myself as like a leader on the special team, the unit and everything, which I feel like will roll over to whenever my time is ready.
I'll be crossing my fingers for him that he has a lot of success in the upcoming season and hope that he's, of course, ready for it. He was courtesy of our good friends over there at Sky Motor Cars when he joined the show back in January. But here's the thing. Leadership matters so much to this guy, and he hasn't even been a regular starter yet. When you ask him about opportunities that he can take advantage of later, like getting starters opportunities here, getting a chance to actually be a starting middle linebacker in the NFL, the first thing he goes to, it's not a question of whether he doesn't question himself whether or not he can play. As you heard him right there, he can play at an elite level. He already thinks he can play at an elite level. Now, I think he's going to get the opportunity to prove it. But it's not just about playing at a high level. It's about being a leader and motivating others around him to play at that high level as well. I almost want him to put that on the back burner. I think it's a great thing. It's a novel thing. It's a beautiful thing. Two things. One, the elite level thing, let's see it. Go out there. I hope the Eagles give him the opportunity to do it. I root for this guy. This guy is awesome. Love this guy. I hope he gets the opportunity to play at an elite level. And if you followed him at Georgia, yeah, pretty elite. All right, especially playing behind a guy like Jordan Davis. Pretty elite. Pretty elite and getting after the quarterback as well if you unleash the fury. And we'll see if Sean Desai actually unleashes the fury when it comes to use this buzzword, be a little bit more aggressive in play calling in the upcoming season. But the second thing that I wanted to put on the back burner is the leadership will come. I mean, you talk to anybody or you listen to anybody that has talked about him at Georgia. You talk about the coaches here in Philadelphia. Nakobe Dean is a natural-born leader. When he's asked about leadership in his introductory press conference with the Eagles, he basically said, yeah, that'll come. Like, I'm not going to put myself in the position to be a leader. Other people put you in the position to be a leader. If you're the signal caller for the defense as a middle linebacker well, then you're going to be in that position where people are going to be looking to you literally and then later metaphorically to lead them. They're going to be looking at you for answers, whether that's literally the play call or what they're going to do at any given moment. Eagles with some turnover on this defense now, they're going to be looking for some new leaders. I don't think Fletcher Cox is coming back. You already know Javon Hargrave isn't coming back. Marcus Epps is a guy that stepped in here at the strong safety position, had himself a pretty damn good year, made himself some money now in the offseason. This team is going to be needing leaders. Hassan Reddick, still here. Still a leader, very much. I know a guy like Josh Sweat is the more lead by example type guy. But other guys on this defensive line are going to have to step up. Brandon Graham, obviously here, he'll be there. But on the defensive side of the football, they're going to have a lot of turnover, already have a lot of turnover. And when it comes to looking for guys that are going to get the troops rallied, I think Nakobe Dean is going to be somebody that can do it. But what has to happen first is the play on the field. It's not just week one, step on the field, leader. No, you got to be able to produce. And I think Nakobe Dean is a guy that will be able to produce here in Philadelphia. Now, speaking of turnover, holy pots and pans, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue to look at these headlines from yesterday. Jesse Bates, one-time apple of the eye of many teams throughout the NFL. Former safety of the Bengals signs a contract with the Falcons, 4 years, $64.02. Let's not forget about that. $1 million deal. $64 million deal over 4 years to play safety for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, why the hell am I talking about this? Well, obviously, that impacts the market of CJ, GJ, CD Deuce, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I would love look, here's what I was doing yesterday. Have the notification set for Ian Rappaport, have the notification set for our friend Adam Schefter, and I'm getting the notifications popping up on my phone left and right, as I'm sure a lot of you guys were at the same time. And each one, I was just waiting for two names. I was waiting for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and I was waiting for James Bradbery. I did not see either of those names pop up. Those are the two most important names as far as I'm concerned in this offseason. I'm happy that they haven't landed anywhere yet. I'm happy that the Eagles still have an opportunity to keep them here in Philadelphia, but I did not expect them to keep Javon Hargrave. Marcus Epps, in all honesty, I thought a guy like Reed Blankenship was going to be able to step into a safety role. He's not going to step into two safety roles by any means if the Eagles lose both their starting safeties. But I thought in terms of the drop-off, if any, from Marcus Epps to Reed Blankenship was not that far. The drop-off from Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to Reed Blankenship, that's a little further. So I was hoping that, yes, Reed Blankenship would still get a safety spot, a starting safety spot next year, and he will. But I was hoping that the Eagles wouldn't have to be in the market for two starting safeties. So now we still are in the same pattern that we were yesterday. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, what happens next? This 4-year, $64 million deal for Jesse Bates, it's a little scary. It's a little scary considering I don't think the Eagles are willing to pay anywhere close to that, nor should they. As great as Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is, he's not Jesse Bates. But it has raised the price. It has raised the market. CJ GJ put out a tweet yesterday just with the eyes open, like seeing the tweet, like, damn, that guy got paid. I guess I'm going to get paid. I better get paid. But, man, it's a scary thought. Things did not move in the direction for the Eagles, nor did we expect them to when it came to the price tag that's going to be attached to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So let's just look at it like this for a second here. Still no word either. So I mentioned James Bradbery. I mentioned C. Deuce. Still no word either on Darius Slay. I still think it's going to come down to a contract restructure with Darius Slay. I do think that even though he said he didn't ask for a trade, that's fine and dandy. That doesn't mean that Drew Rosenhaus isn't out there knocking on doors right now to see what he can get for his man. And I think that's where we're at right now. I think they're shopping around, seeing what else is out there, seeing what else they can get, and seeing if it's worth actually allowing the Eagles to restructure his contract. That's where we're at right now. I don't think it's by any means a shoo-in that he stays here in Philadelphia. There's so much up in the air. So here's where we're at. Epps gone. CD Deuce may be gone. So now you might have Reed Blankenship as your starting safety regardless. James Bradbery could be gone, still up in the air. And Darius Slay still up in the air as to whether or not he could be gone. 2 safeties and your 2 starting corners. This is not going how I would have liked it to have gone. Jason Kelce coming back. Wonderful. All right. We're excited. We already knew Brandon Graham was back. All right. Great. Love it. Excited. Now I'm just waiting on the rest of this defense to see what happens and falls into place because you could be down 4 of your starting the secondary members. Avonte Maddox is staying. That's good. I like that. The overhaul that we talked about going into the offseason, and look, free agency isn't even official yet until tomorrow, but the uncertainty lying in front of us has only gotten worse. I was hoping we would get a little nugget yesterday to make us feel better about the 4 starting, the 2 starting corners and the 2 starting safeties, and we haven't gotten anything yet. I mean, Howie Roseman, sober up a little bit here, pal. So quit with the heavy pours. Let's get something going here. I'd like one thing for today. One thing for today. I would like the Eagles to make a decision on keeping somebody, not somebody making a decision to stay with the Eagles like Brandon Graham and Jason Kelce. That was up to them, and they've chosen to stay. Brandon Graham took less money allegedly to stay here in Philadelphia. Wonderful. Now I want to know about CD Deuce. Now I want to know about James Bradbery. Now I want to know about Darius Slay. Let me know about those 3 gentlemen and what they're doing and what the Eagles are going to tell them. Hey, we're going to restructure your deal. We're going to keep you. We're going to give you a big fat contract. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like that announcement today to make me feel all warm and fuzzy going into the first official day of free agency. If I could get a little of that, I'd feel pretty fantastic. That's how I'd feel. So that's where we're at in the Eagles realm right now. I mentioned Andre Dillard. He goes to the Titans as well. It's an uncomfortable thing. So I'll ask this question one more time. It looks like we are on the precipice of a lot more change than a lot of us anticipated. We knew it was going to be up in the air, but for the vast majority of the brief offseason that we've experienced so far, or I should say, excuse me, since after the All-Star break, since after the Super Bowl, I think a lot of us expected some of this to be easier, especially when it comes to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and signing here in Philadelphia. I think some of us expected it to be easier with James Bradbery. I think a lot of us expected it to be easier with Darius Slay. Do you still have confidence in Howie to get this done? Because ultimately, that's whose lap it's going to fall in. It's difficult, and I said this yesterday, but to repeat it for those that missed it, it's difficult throughout a football offseason to have the knee-jerk reactions and the domino effect of, oh, they don't sign this guy, now this is going to happen by the start of the year, and to have every move be looked at upon negatively. It's easy to do that on a day like today where it looks like you could lose some huge members of your defense. Now it looks like it's more inevitable than not, considering no news as far as I'm concerned with your starting secondary is good news. But still, when you don't have those players signing, when you're not part of the big news day across the league, when you're not big like the 49ers or the Bears, or you're really not getting your name, the Falcons that I just mentioned, when you're not getting your name mentioned like that, and who you're adding to your team. When your only headline is who you're keeping because it's their decision, that doesn't make you feel too warm and cozy. All right? So do you have confidence in Howie Roseman that he's got this? Are you relaxed because Howie's going to build another winner? Which is something I never would have thought I'd say 5 years ago. Something I wouldn't even thought I'd say 2 years ago. but are you confident that Howie will put another team together? Ultimately, this is what it comes down to. This is the biggest X factor for me. And it's got nothing to do with the defense. It's all about the offense. If you have a good quarterback, the Eagles certainly have that. They have an MVP caliber quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And you have surrounded him already with weapons. And you are already going to have a pretty damn good offensive line playing in front of him. You're going to do okay in this league. Your defense can be god-awful, unfortunately. Rather it not, but you can still be competitive because of who your quarterback is. And your quarterback is Jalen Hurts. And that ultimately is the warm blanket through any negative news or negative attention the Eagles have gotten over the last 48 hours in particular. This team can change a lot, but they got a good quarterback, they got an MVP caliber quarterback, and they got some pretty damn good weapons around them with a great offensive line. That makes you feel warm and cozy. So defensively speaking, yes, I'd love to see some talent added there. I'd love to see what Sean Desai is going to do with that talent once he has it. But as of right now, it is very much up in the air at very key positions on that Eagles defense. Do you trust Howie to keep it together? I trust Howie to keep it together in terms of keeping the competitive balance with the defense. I don't necessarily think he's going to go out there and make huge acquisitions. I think the Eagles are going to draft a starter on the defensive side of the football with their 10th overall pick. But when it comes to the rest of this team, I trust that Howie will put it together. And I also trust that Jalen Hurts will be there to make sure that this team stays competitive throughout a season. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing as the off season goes on. Another thing that I was looking at from yesterday is with all the notifications and everything flying around, I still am very curious to see, and they don't have the pieces yet. They still have a lot of decisions to make as far as that goes. But I've seen some people talk about Sean Desai and the uncertainty of what this defense is going to look like once you do plug in the holes that you're going to have after the next couple of days. And if I'm looking at it right now, and you don't know even your starting secondary going into next season, you got to think that you're looking at another 4-3 defense. You got to think that you're going to be using guys like a Nakobe Dean, who are known for more quickness and speed than certainly a guy like TJ Edwards, who was known to come up and make the tackle, be the stopper, really, not the guy to go in the backfield and get you a tackle for loss, not a guy to predicate his entire game on speed and quickness, but mostly just the simple fact that he could tackle. Like Alex Singleton could come in and tackle. TJ Edwards, the guy that took over for him in the middle of last year, he could come in and he can make that tackle. But he's not going to make the aggressive play. He's not going to anticipate where the ball's going. His instincts aren't high enough. When it comes to Kobe Dean and it comes to instincts, even if his instincts aren't on that same level as a guy like TJ Edwards, you're going to see a guy be able to come up and make stops because of his speed and because of his quickness. And if you're going to use that, if you're Sean Desai, you got to think that you're going to have a defense that might not be exactly like Jonathan Gannon's. Like other people have talked about how the Eagles are very comfortable. Nick Sirianni has said with exclamation points he likes what Jonathan Gannon does defensively. He's a great defensive coordinator. So you got to think whoever they hire next, whoever the heir apparent is in that regard, is going to come and do something very similar. If you're going to be building your defense around guys like Nakobe Dean in the middle of your defense there, if you're going to have Josh Sweat coming around one edge, you're going to have Hassan Reddick coming around another edge. You're going to have Jordan Davis taking more snaps, assuming he's going to take more snaps in his sophomore season in the NFL. I would go ahead and I'd venture to guess that you're going to err on the side of aggression. You're going to err on the side of getting after a quarterback more so than a guy like Jonathan Gannon. And I'm not talking about your defensive line just winning battles. I'm not just talking about running stunts here and there like Jonathan Gannon did, where you are waiting for the one-on-one battles to be won at the line of scrimmage. I'm talking about guys actually get this, drawn up blitzes. I'm actually talking about safety blitzes. Whoever your safety is going to be, Reed Blankenship, bring them on down. But I'm actually talking about things happening in this offseason where maybe you're going to have a defensive coordinator that is going to be a lot more comfortable with sending guys into the backfield and not so much worried about, he can't allow the big play. Can't allow the big play. That is something that I think a lot of people are reading into that I think I look at it and I say you have to default to that. If your defense is only going to be made up of mediocre talent in the secondary, which I don't expect wholeheartedly, but if things continue to trend in this direction, then the Eagles are going to have to get pretty damn creative And then in that case, I hope Sean Desai is every ounce of good that Nick Sirianni has talked about, Howie Roseman has talked about, that Pete Carroll has talked about, that Vic Fangio talked about from their days together in Chicago. That's what I have allowed my mind to wander to already in the first 24 hours of legally tampering in the NFL. All right. So if these guys don't get signed, if I don't get that notification today that these guys aren't coming back to Philadelphia, how's Sean Desai going to fix this? First off, how's Howie Roseman going to give him talent to attempt to fix it? And then assuming that talent is nowhere on the level of a James Bradbery or a Darius Slay or in what you saw in his first year as a safety in the NFL and CJ Gardner-Johnson, then where are you going to go? If you're only going to fill those spots with mid-level talent, all right. Time to get creative and earn your stripes there, Sean Desai. Time to get creative. I know my man, PJ, is rather excited about Team USA going out there on the World Baseball Classic and handling their business against Canada yesterday. Mercy ruling them. You had JT Realmuto come up with a big hit. You had Trey Turner come up with a long ball there that helped the Team USA win 12-1 over Team Canada. I know a lot of people are excited about that. I watched some of it last night. It was fun. It was exciting. Anytime you see the USA slapped across somebody's chest and they're out there handling their business against anybody on a global stage like the World Baseball Classic, it's a good feeling. But I do ask the question, and this is just asking a question. I love the idea of international play. The game of baseball is the game that concerns me the most when I talk about, or when I think about international play, because these guys seem like they are. It's not just some exhibition series for them. It's not just something to do, but before the season starts. When you play 162 games, and if you're JT Realmuto and you're a catcher and you're playing as much as you play as a catcher, is it almost too much baseball? And now I also factor this in, especially when talking about Phillies in this tournament. They played a lot of baseball last year, playing all the way into the World Series, as we all know. They go into spring training. Now they go into the World Baseball Classic, and then they go into a 162-game schedule. Is it too much baseball? I love what I saw yesterday. It's fun and all that stuff. But when I talk about baseball in particular and how long the season is, I'm like, this is fun now, but am I going to be hating the World Baseball Classic in September? How's JT Realmuto going to look in September? How's Trey Turner going to be looking in September? How's Kyle Schwarber going to be looking in September? Like, that's where my mind goes with all this. So I hope you're enjoying the World Baseball Classic. But if you're a Phillies fan like myself, I do have concern about a lot of baseball being played for guys like Realmuto, Schwarber, and now Trey Turner as well. No, he hasn't played as much baseball as the Phillies. Phillies were in that little World Series last year as well. But it is a little pedal to the metal. I do want to acknowledge one thing, because I thought this was pretty incredible, though. And this is a great thing about the World Baseball Classic. Guys are getting looked at that don't get that same look throughout the year. Let's go to Nicaragua for a second, okay? I think I'm saying his name right. Duque Aver, pitcher for Nicaragua. I believe he is 18 years old. 18 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Strikes out Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, and Rafael Devers, all All-Stars. K's them all in one inning. Afterwards, gets signed to a minor league deal by the Detroit Tigers. How beautiful is that? That's great to see. That's my World Baseball Classic riff. I want to get to basketball, but I'll get to that in just 1 second, because I got to tell you, this show is sponsored by the great people at Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. The man with the perfect price has been in the love business for over 40 years in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. And with the perfect price, Steven Singer puts your money where his mouth is. How about that? Steven Singer Jewelers, with that perfect price, that lets you know that when you walk into Steven Singer Jewelers, you don't get taken advantage of, you don't haggle, you don't negotiate. The perfect price is set for you at the other corner of 8th and Walnut. So when it comes to the other corner of 8th and Walnut, trust the man with the perfect price, Steven Singer Jewelers. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. All right, here you go when it comes to basketball. The Boston Celtics were in action last night. They struggled, to say the least. They lost the Houston Rockets 111 to 109. Jason Tatum, 22 points, just 2 for 10 from beyond the arc. Now, Jaylen Brown, he had himself a night, 43 points. He was their offense. However, the Houston Rockets coming up with a win over Boston last night, handed the Boston Celtics. This is bonkers to think about. The Boston Celtics, without question, have the Sixers number. But now the Celtics and the Sixers both have 22 losses on the season. The Sixers are now just 1 game behind the Celtics for the second playoff seed in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks won last night. They had quite the battle, literally, last night. But the Bucks are 2.5 games up on the Celtics. The Bucks are 3.5 games up on the Sixers. Sixers are back in action tomorrow night when they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Boston Celtics are in action tomorrow night again against the Timberwolves as they continue a road trip, a 3-game road trip here. They're not in action till 8 o'clock. Sixers are in action at 7. So after tomorrow night, with the Sixers win and the Celtics loss, the Sixers could only be a half game, people. The Sixers could be tied with the Boston Celtics for the second playoff seed in the Eastern Conference. Celtics, obviously, when it comes to the tiebreaker, they have the edge there. But in terms of games out of the number 1 playoff seed, the Sixers would be tied with the Boston Celtics. That's what's ahead of them right now. It is so crucial for anyone that has faith. And I forget who it was. I think it was Keith Pompey, the Inquirer, put it out yesterday saying, are you confident that the Sixers can make it out of the second round? If they get that second playoff seed, I'm uber confident that they can make it out of the second round of playoffs. And I know other people in the past have talked about, you can look at the fact that the Sixers were the number 1 seed and they got bounced out by the Hawks in the second round. That's fine. I get it. But it wasn't this Sixers team. That was the Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid Sixers. This is the James Harden playing at this elite level, Joel Embiid playing at this elite level version of the 70s. This Sixers team can make it out of the second round of the playoffs. If they get that second seed, I am a lot more confident that they can do it. They can still do it, but then they're far less likely to draw the Celtics in the second round. So, yeah, I'll go ahead with the optimism that they'll make it out of the second round if they do, in fact, get that second seed. Let me tell you about the rest of the 5 people that sponsor this show, the great people at Manscaped, manscaped.com. Join 4 million men worldwide. 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with confidence and comfort because of their skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks and scratches and scrapes with their skin-safe technology. Don't forget about their Platinum Package 4.0, which includes the incredible Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer and also the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And yes, the skin-safe technology is what makes them the success that they are. So go to manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. Use promo code FARZI for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. How about the amazing people at Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll enjoy the tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So trust the amazing people at Freestone Farm CBD, FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about PHL Sports Nation? Enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check, see how you wonderful people are doing today. April, what's going on? Kevin, hello. April, I would say Kelsey news is some damn good news. We needed some damn good news, didn't we? I'm still waiting for some better news. But really, this is all you really need, isn't it, folks? For the people of the podcast, I'm just showing one more time the amazing picture of Jason Kelsey being hugged by the Philly Fanatic as they embrace and show their love for one another. Oh, it's just gorgeous. It's just lovely is what it is. But yeah, that is some pretty good news. Alyssa! Good morning, Alyssa. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? April, Bo Allen's comment was hilarious. It was hilarious. We need Bo Allen on the show. I reached out to Bo, and I don't think I ever showed the picture. PJ, do you remember me ever showing a picture of Bo Allen cradling me like I'm a wee baby? Have I shown that on the show? I don't think I've shown that on the show. That's a story unto itself. But I thought he'd remember me. And his DMs, I don't believe, are open on the old Twitter. But they are open on Insta. So I'll have to hit him up again because I would absolutely love to have my man Bo Allen on the program because I find him to be hilarious. And then has a great comment. Sean Gillespie, I wonder how those Weiner fans reacted to members of the Eagles defense going to a member of the Eagles defense going there. Well, I'm sure they're excited about it. Dan Schwartz, next man up. The next man up is Whitesnake. Bring back the legend. Obviously not for the lack of talent, but just his nickname. Let's go. There are many different tales of how oh my God, I'm blanking on it. Nate, what the hell? I'm blanking on his name. Nate Gary, how he was termed Whitesnake. I'll go with the one he told me, which I think is the PG version, which is just some fan at Arizona, or wherever the hell he went, was just like, oh yeah, you're like the white snake, and there you go. That's the end of it. Dan Schwartz, holy pots and pans. I imagine cook immaculate food. I've said holy pots and pans plenty of times on the show before. Morning market. Mihai, what's up, Mihai? Fuji, what's going on? Happy Tuesday, y'all. Hopefully we'll get news today about Bradbery and CD Deuce. Lying and waiting in the weeds. Dan Schwartz, Mark, haven't heard a good weed cough in a while. Good to hear. I don't know what it is. I think it's the house. It's just, it just makes me sick. Dan Schwartz, T.O. still trying to play. Bring him in to be a linebacker. He refuses to just ride Quez. Refuses just get rid of Quez Watkins and let him play wide receiver 3. Here's my lasting, whenever T.O. gets brought up, and he does get brought up quite often, I go back to this. When I was at WIP, Joe Conklin would put on the sports roasts, right? The sports legends roasts, right? All that stuff. And T.O. was a guest one year. And T.O., I asked him about being third. He was, I think, 3 touchdowns away from passing Randy Moss as the all-time touchdowns leader or whatever. And he was like, 3 touchdowns. That's all. First off, I doubt he didn't know he was only 3 touchdowns short. This was at the time. And he goes, man, I'll get that in a game. You put me in a game. I'll get 3 touchdowns in a game. And I thought, now that's the confidence that we need at the wide receiver position here in Philadelphia. At the time, I think he was 41. Eagles have hired a nickel cornerback since Ronell Williams. Yeah, who was with, I think it was the quality control coach with the Bears when Sean Desai was there. So that's their connection there. April. Yeah, let's get to that now. TU basketball has never been the same since Chaney left. That's so true. In case you haven't seen it, Aaron McKee got fired, or Aaron McKee was stepped down. He stepped down to be the basketball head coach, or from being the head coach of basketball at Temple University. I was ready to give him a shot. It didn't work out. I'm shocked they only gave him 4 years. The fact that they only gave him 4 years makes me think that maybe it really was a mutual thing, more along the lines of a mutual thing. And I know I said last week I don't really believe in the mutual parting of ways, and I generally speaking don't. But where's Temple going after this? You hired one of your own sons who had a long NBA career, and him being your head coach couldn't help you in recruiting at all? Him being your head coach couldn't get you back into the NCAA tournament? Where do you go from here? This is a very low point. With Fran Dunphy, who I absolutely love, with him as the head coach, and you're winning A10 titles, and your teams with like Deontay Christmas were doing well in terms of at least making it into the NCAA tournament. And then you hit a huge snag in terms of not being able to recruit, not producing talent. You do decide to make the move on to one of your favorite sons in Aaron McKee, and he can't get you any further. And 4 years into it, you now go on to the next thing. in talking to a lot of guys that really support the program and all that stuff, whether that be fans or whether that be booster club stuff or whatever, they were optimistic for Aaron McKee. They were cautiously optimistic. They knew that having him as the head coach wasn't going to solve all their problems immediately. But, man, moving on 4 years after you bring him in, that is worrisome. And it wasn't like they just reached out and hired him. He was on the coaching staff of Fran Dunphy for a couple years before they actually made him the head coach. I had some higher expectations, at least that you would have some prospect. You would have somebody in the system. You'd have something in the system. You'd have somebody signed that you could at least develop by senior year to be a real team leader and get the team to the next level. The next level being just the tournament, the NCAA tournament. No, not the case. And on that note, it does suck. Look, I'm a Temple first and foremost guy without question, but not having one team from the Big Five in the tournament this year, Drexel not being in the tournament this year, I do feel it. Looking over the bracket, seeing Penn State, seeing Andrew Funk, Archbishop Wood, my man, in the tournament is great. Penn State being in the tournament is great in general, but not having a Big Five school in the program, in the tournament, excuse me, kind of sucks. Oh, that's right. The Celtics just lost a coach. Yeah. Howie definitely puked after the shot with Kelsey, like 100%. April, he's on the Green Light Pod all the time. He's a great interview. Bo Allen, I have seen him on there a lot, and yeah, he's awesome. Oh, wow. PJ, Damian Dunn will be an NBA draft pick, and Khalif Battle would be if he stays in school another year. How do you not do better with that and a transfer like Reynolds? I wish I could tell you. Temple has a rough go this year, beyond sports included. Ooh, yeah, they need to get things together. Yep. Temple's got huge issues right now, unfortunately. And I love my school, but they got some problems. And that is a vast understatement. A vast understatement. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Flyers will be back on the ice. The Danny Briere-led Flyers are back on the ice against the Vegas Golden Knights tonight, 7 o'clock. Flyers trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Hopefully they'll be able to pull that off. As I mentioned earlier, the Sixers take on the Cleveland Cavaliers tomorrow night in Cleveland. We'll cross our fingers and hope the Sixers keep their winning ways going. And hopefully, although I doubt it in a game like tonight against the Cavs, hopefully the Sixers won't have to play Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter again. That'd be nice. And the Celtics will play tomorrow night as well. They'll be tipping off against the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota at 8 o'clock. Sixers have an opportunity to draw even with the Celtics in the standings. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. This is the Farzy Show, presented by the great people at Steven Singer. At Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. One place, one price, the perfect price online at iatstevensinger.com. That's iatstevensinger.com. Jim Hyde, produced program, did a wonderful job as per usual. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.